You're listening to KPFT Houston. We are 90.1 on the dial here in Houston, and if you're down in Galveston, pick us up at 89.5. Our friends up in the piney woods of East Texas can catch us every Sunday at 91.9. It is time for Songwriter Studio. I'm your host, Tom Tranchilla, along with Lloyd Daniel, our faithful engineer, always doing his best putting these shows together here in the Songwriter Studios. Thank you, Lloyd, for all you do. I would like to put out a big thank you to all of those who recently donated to our Summer Sizzle Pledge Drive here at KPFT. We had a fantastic outpouring of pledges, and it was enough to keep us alive until the next pledge drive this fall. So thank you all for donating your money and your time to this radio station. We will be moving into our new location very soon. Sandy's been rebuilding the building we just purchased and getting it ready for the new KPFT. So thank you all so much for your support. It is our pleasure to bring our old friend Carla Ulbrich here into the studios. Carla, it's been a long time. How are you doing up there in New Jersey?
Good. How's it going down there in Houston?
Hot.
Yeah.
Finally getting some rain, though, so thank goodness we got the rain we need to survive. Calling us from the New Jersey area, tell the listening audience where you reside these days.
I live in Central Exit. That's what we call everything around here. What town are you in? Exit number 10. Well, it's the classic Jersey. It's a thing here. But yeah, I live around Exit 10. It's a small suburb called Somerset. I'm originally from South Carolina, but I live in New Jersey now.
And I guess we originally met at one of the International Folk Alliances years ago. I can't believe it's been as long as it has, probably close to 20 years now, maybe a little less. And I don't even remember which folk alliance it was, but we've been keeping in contact on and off over the years, and I got a copy of your new record, found out you were coming to the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance in Austin this year, which will be held next month. So thank goodness you decided to make the trek down here. Got a copy of your new record. For those of you who have not heard Carla, her live show and her albums are so hilarious, you will bust a gut watching and listening to her lyrics. So I guess that's what turned me and Jim Comm onto your music originally. We were watching you at one of the folk alliances, and we couldn't quit laughing. So you are definitely going to tear up your live shows at the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance, which will be held next month, the second last weekend of September. You'll be there. I know you're playing a lot of the guerrilla showcases, so check your site at carlaulbrich.com, I believe. Is that what is your website address, by the way?
I simplified it. It's carlau.com, CARLAU.com. Then people don't have to spell my last name.
There you go. It's a little tricky as it is, right? And that will be next month. Let's talk about the new record. First, I wanted to play one of your instrumentals. I may want to mention here that you're classically trained. Your guitar playing is stellar. So not to take away from your comical lyrics, but you're an excellent guitar player, and you've recorded quite a few instrumentals over the years. We're going to start the show out with one of the Elvis classics, That's All Right, Mama. So let's talk a little bit about that, and we're going to go ahead and spin that track. Tell us a little bit about the recording of That's All Right.
All right. Well, this is off of my professional Smart Aleck recording, which I recorded on Dautaw Island, South Carolina, back in, I think, 2001, maybe. And I played this particular piece on my Godin Electric Classical. Yeah, and I picked this particular arrangement off of somebody that I met at the Chet Atkins convention.
And, of course, you play Chet Atkins style acoustic as well, the alternating thumb style acoustic. And we've backed this up with one of my favorite tunes of yours, The Guy Who Changes the Light Bulb. We're going to play these particular tracks back to back, and then we're going to talk a little bit about them and get back to the show. So let's start out the show with That's All Right, followed up by The Guy Who Changes the Light Bulb. This is Carla Ulbrich.
My friend Joe, he lives in New Jersey and I live in South Carolina, and we do sort of a foreign exchange program. He's an Italian guy, wears dippity-doo in his hair and a leather jacket. Sticks out a little bit in Clemson. I asked Joe, he had this one free day. I asked him if he wanted to go sightseeing. And he said, actually, there's one place I really want to go while I'm in South Carolina. I said, well, by all means, what is it? He said, I want to go to Waffle House. Yeah, there's no Waffle House in Jersey. I said, well, all right, but you got to go at 2 a.m. or it doesn't count. And you got to order grits or it doesn't count. So we did. We went at 2 a.m. Didn't even need a reservation, just walked right in. He ordered cheese grits, as a matter of fact. First time ever saw someone eat one grit. He brings meaning, he shines light on things. The guy who changes the light bulbs changes everything. See, Waffle House is awful house without its W. Why you might agree with that, you'd fix it if it were you. And here's another problem for which there's no excuse. No H, no O. I don't know. What is waffle use? The guy who changes the light bulbs changes everything. He makes things as they once were. Security he brings. He's got power, he brings meaning. He sheds light on things. The guy who changes the light bulbs changes everything. When the guy at the Ramada has a boss who's a tightwad, we're left with Ram or Ada, sometimes Ahmad or Da, which is yes in Russia, or perhaps the sun god Ra. Sometimes they just am, sometimes mad is all they are. How about some French cuisine? You might ask your spouse. When up ahead you clearly see a sign that says lay house. And whatever may befall me, may I never sink so low as to have to give it up for food and become a waffle hoe. The guy who changes the light bulbs changes everything. He makes things as they once were. Security he brings. He's got power, he brings meaning. He sheds light on things. The guy who changes the light bulbs changes everything. So does the guy who every morning delivers your newspaper. The one who cleans the bathroom and refills the toilet paper. The priest who sits and listens to the sins of the confessor. And I just don't know where I'd be without my hairdresser. If you're feeling unimportant, like you might as well go fishing, think back on those highway signs with several letters missing. Because the guy who changes the light bulbs has a most important job. When he's missing, how we miss him, things get really odd. He's got power, he brings meaning, he's practically a god. The guy who changes the light bulbs is a most important job. Well, I kind of consider myself the one-woman humane society for song topics. I take all those topics that everyone else forgot to write about, or maybe knew better than to write about, and I write about them. For example, there's just not enough songs out there about getting a wedgie. Does everyone know what a wedgie is, or do I need 2 volunteers to demonstrate? So I took it upon myself to write this song about getting a wedgie. I actually had some help writing this song, but for some reason they don't want any credit. It does have a sing-along part.
The guy who changes the light bulb Carla Ulbrich off of an older recording, and that one still cracks people up when you do it live. I know that's going to be one of your requested song at the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance. Let's talk a little bit about your background, Carla. You were classically trained at Lander University. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, well, actually, I taught at Lander University. I went to Brevard College.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and expand.
Yeah, so I went to Brevard College, and at the time it was only a 2-year school. So then I finished up at UNC Greensboro, and studied classical guitar, listened to all kinds of mind-expanding stuff. And I also spent a summer at a 3-month program at GIT, the Guitar Institute of Technology in Hollywood, California. Crazy times. It was just all rock schools. Supplemented our classical training with a bunch of rock stuff, and I felt like it really filled out a lot of missing pieces, but it was not as great of a situation as you might imagine, being one of 2 girls in a program of 300 guys.
Well, that's news to me. I never knew you studied rock guitar out in California. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that. Were there any of the other students in the class that we may know of?
I don't know. A lot of them have gone on to be studio musicians and such. We would all go down to the Sunset Strip. I think the kookiest part about being a student at GIT, and this may still be the case, is on your way to the school, right there on the corner, there was no getting around it. You had to pass the Scientology church, their recruiting center. And they stand on the corner, and every day on the way into GIT, free personality test. And then on the way to lunch, free personality test. And then on the way back from free personality test. It was like, they're really relentless. I did go in there and get my free personality test, and I flunked. No, I went in there, and I was there, they wanted to keep me for 4 hours. I didn't really had to come up with an excuse to leave, which was I have other things to do. But yeah, it was quite the experience. What else happened there? It was just a summer of just guitar. We were there all day, just ear training, theory, reading, improvisation. It was very intense. I learned a lot. It was great. Oh, and then one of the guys that I met there, at the time, the guys were all wearing spandex and more hairspray and makeup than I was. And one of my roommates was always borrowing my clothes. A dude was, trying to wear my clothes because that was the thing, right? The scarves and the blouses and everything. It's rock and roll. It's very androgynous in a way. So anyway, crazy times. I lived in a dumpy apartment that had no hot water. And so it was Los Angeles. So around 3:00 in the afternoon, everybody wanted the shower at the same time, because that's about the time where you would get out of the shower and not start immediately sweating again. So, it's the sacrifices we make for our art.
Well, it gave you plenty to write about in the future.
It sure did. One of the guys I went to school with wound up on the Love Connection TV show. A few months later, I was back in North Carolina practicing guitar, and I would leave my TV on because my neighbors always complained about my guitar playing, even though it was fabulous. But they didn't complain about my TV. So I would turn on the TV and play the guitar while the TV was on, so they wouldn't complain. Because their TVs were always really loud. So I'm like, well, maybe they won't hear the guitar if I play the TV. So that's what I did. I play the TV, and then I play guitar over it. I wasn't really watching the TV. I was just drowning myself out. And I looked up. It was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I looked up, and there was this, dating show. And one of the guys I went to school with was on it. I guess he filmed it while we were all out there studying. And he was really madly in love with himself. So he gets on this show, and he was immediately eliminated. It was awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course, I made a song out of it called Love Connection.
All right. You'll have to play that for us at SWARFA.
Oh, indeed.
Carla, you have a brand new album out, Twang. I just received it in the mail a week or two ago, and it is very typical Carla. It is hilarious. The lyric writing was over the top. We're going to play almost every track off the brand new album except the one that should be censored. So,
yep.
We got
That was
the
in
brand new
the air.
album is called Twang, and I don't know how you did this, but you recruited Rob Ickes, one of the greatest dobro players in the country. Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Well, I have a fantastic producer named Bob Harris, and I probably shouldn't give his name out because he's so hard to get in touch with already. Now, if more people know about him, I'll never be able to get in touch with him again and do more recordings. But he actually only lives about 20 minutes from me, and he really, really nails the Nashville sound. You wouldn't think so, that you'd go to Central New Jersey to get the true, authentic Nashville sound. But this guy really knows his stuff. He is no poser. He's the real deal. And he's very connected to a lot of Nashville cats, including Rob Ickes and the late Vassar Clements. He used to play for him. He was a guitar player for Vassar Clements. And also he got me Andy Leftwich, who is a multi-Grammy winning fiddle player. He's just terrific. And he's all over the album as well. And I got a couple other Nashville cats that I recruited for the album. Eric Halbig, who plays guitar for just about every country artist you can think of, who's touring in the last 10 years. And I used to teach with him at the National Guitar Summer Workshop. So I know him from the old days when we were all scrimping. He slept on his floor in a sleeping bag. We go way back. And then another guy on the album is Bob Malone, playing piano on 2 or 3 songs. He's John Fogerty's keyboard player.
Yeah, and I am familiar with Bob Malone as well, so he's a go-to guy as well.
Yeah, and Bob and I go way back too. We've done gigs together and stuff, and slept on each other's floors at different times. But yeah, he's pretty near world famous at this point. So lucky to have it. He's produced a couple albums for me as well. He's very talented.
Carla,
very talented.
Let's go ahead and jump into the record. We're going to start out with track number 1 off the brand new album Twang. This is It Hot Enough for You? Right here on KPFT. This is Carla Ulbrich.
Well, it's 100 degrees out again today, and my air conditioner's quit, and no one can fix it till next week. I was about to throw a fit, so I decided to go to Costco just to stand inside and cool down. Then I ran into a friend in the cereal aisle, and I guess he was joking around. He said, "Is it hot enough for you? Is it hot enough for you? Man, it's gotta be about 103. Is it hot enough for you?" Everyone's a comedian. It's annoying, I tell you what. When your heat rash has got a heat rash, and your bra strap is melted shut. I mean, even the weeds were wilted when I went to mow the lawn. Then I barbecued some hamburgers, and I didn't even turn the grill on. And you asked me, is it hot enough for you? Is it hot enough for you? Man, it's gotta be about 103. Is it hot enough for you? Well, I burned my butt on the driver's seat. My cursing made a sailor blush. Snow White changed her name today. Now she's just called Slush. The itsy bitsy spider made it up the water spout. All the sculptures by Salvador Dali, yesterday they straightened out. You think it's so dang funny with that old worn out cliche? I've been in this store 10 minutes. You're the third one I heard say, is it hot enough for you? Is it hot enough for you? Man, it's gotta be about 103.
Is It Hot Enough for You? Carla Ulbrich off the brand new album Twang, featuring some dynamite piano playing by Bob Malone, Andy Leftwich, just excellent fiddle, and the great Bob Ikes on dobro. Great song, Carla.
Thank you. I had a good time.
And
I
guess,
guess, I could have let that song go on for a half an hour. Everybody was so good. Their soloing was so amazing. Like, I just want to give everybody a 10-minute solo.
and I failed to mention the guitar work by Eric Halbig was excellent as well. I'll tell you what, these guys all came together on this particular track. Just what a great song.
Thank you so much.
And it's so typical. Carla, your lyrics. Let's talk about track number 2, Interviewing Therapists, another funny song. To tell the listening audience a little bit about this track.
I think I confounded some of the people. I got a review of the CD from a guy in Italy, and I think he was like a little confused about what I was talking about on a couple of these songs. And this one probably as well, because he was talking about the bizarre characters in some of these songs. But I think it'll make sense to, us regular Americans. So I was looking for a therapist, and people are like, and I kept coming up with people who are just a terrible match. Just like, whoa, this really isn't going to work. And I can't believe, like, I just paid for this session, and it was like, I want my money back, to say the least, and my time back. And people were like, oh, you got to interview your therapist before you commit to a session. I was like, what? Well, what am I supposed to ask them? So I Googled it, like interview questions and, for therapists. And I got some kind of, mostly what I came up in my Google search was job interview questions. So I was like, well, I guess that's technically what I'm doing. I'm interviewing someone for the job of being my therapist, but it came up with some weird results. If I actually asked these questions of a therapist, I'm not sure that would result in me actually getting a therapist.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play that track right now off the brand new album, Twang. This is Carla Ulbrich. The name of this track, Interviewing Therapists.
Finding a good therapist is tricky. You never know just what you're gonna get. So have a little interview before you commit. Just get some questions off the internet. Why do you want to work here at Carla's Neuroses? Helping people? Duly noted. I see you've been in this position for 15 years. How come you've never been promoted? How will you affect my bottom line? And would you call yourself a winner? Do you ever take your work home with you? You do? What time is dinner? Finding a good therapist is tricky. You never know just what you're gonna get. So have a little interview before you commit. Just get some questions off the internet. What makes you think you're qualified to work here? I mean, besides a PhD, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Please don't say you'll still be seeing me. How many golf balls are there in Florida? And how much fuel would it take to ignite them? What's the airspeed of an unladen swallow? Hey, I just ask the questions. I don't write them. Are you willing to fail? Why should we hire you? How did your last job end? How do you deal with a difficult client asking for a friend? Thanks for your time. We'll give you a call. Or maybe not. I guess we'll see. If you don't get the job, don't stay in a funk. Just take this little tip from me. Finding a good therapist is simple. You'll know exactly what you're gonna get. You'll trim your list of candidates in no time with your questions from the internet.
Interviewing Therapists. Very good. Carla Ulbrich, our guest on Songwriter Studio, off the brand new album, Twang. You know, we were talking earlier about Rob Ickes, who really shows off his stuff in this particular track. There was an article in Acoustic Guitar magazine a few years ago. It named the top 3 dobro players in the country. Of course, Rob Ickes was of the top 3. It was Jerry Douglas, Rob Ickes, and I cannot recall the third dobro player in there, but they had written them all 3 of them up, their latest solo recordings, and rated them. And this is a particular track that really shows off Rob Ickes, showing off his stuff on the dobro. My compliments. And by the way, the organ work by Bob Malone on here was excellent as well.
Yeah, he's always good.
Yeah, you had
Never
mentioned,
fails.
did you get to sit in the studio when they came in to do their tracks, or were they sent to them?
It was a mix. I sat in with all of Bob's stuff, Bob Malone's stuff, which we actually recorded in New York City. And I was around for some. Bob Harris, the producer, he played on the album as well. He did some lap steel and a little bit of acoustic guitar and bass on here. So he's actually on the album too.
Oh, that's another reason to hire a producer that's a musician. A lot of times you'll get him to help out on the tracks.
Yeah, and he's stellar. He's really a stellar musician and producer. So I'm quite fortunate, and such a nice person.
I'd mentioned you're going to be at the SWARFA conference next month. What are the dates? And I know you are going to be playing the Ham Room, the Houston Association of Acoustic Musicians, which I will be hosting. And that's going to be what date in September?
That should be September 22, 23,
Yeah, it's either the
24.
22nd, 23rd, right? And
Yeah.
Have you picked up any other Texas dates while you're down here where the folks can come out to listen to your show?
Not yet. I just decided to go to SWARFA a couple of weeks ago. So this was sort of a last minute decision. I just got a manager, and my manager was like, "You got to play SWARFA," and I'm like, "What? Okay." It's just barely enough time to get in there and make it happen. So I'll do it.
Yeah, I wish you had sent a couple of tracks off the new album in, and you could have probably picked up one of the official showcases. But for next year.
Yeah, well, it's a small enough conference. It's big enough and small enough that you can make your way around, and anybody who wants to hear you should have a chance to hear you. If I have enough unofficial showcases that hopefully anybody who wants to hear me can find one of them.
Let's talk about that. For the listening audience, especially the venue owners here in the Houston area, you can go up to the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance, shortened as SWARFA acronym. It's open to the public. You don't have to register for the conference to go to the shows. You can watch the official showcases Friday afternoon, Friday night, and Saturday night. And I think all you have to do is pay $15 and you get a wristband. You can catch all the shows, and you will catch some of the top talent singer-songwriters around the country, covering all genres from jazz to blues to folk to comedy, you name it. How many shows do you have lined up at the SWARFA conference, Carla?
I have 3. I think each time I'm playing 20 minutes, which is enough to get a good taste. To me, I didn't realize that this was open to the public, and I think that is fantastic. That's such a great idea for people it's like a musical buffet to be able to just go hear 20 minutes of this person, 20 minutes of that person. It's just all you can eat. It's really all you can stuff in your ears. It is just an extravaganza and a great opportunity to discover a bunch of new artists. And it's all indoors, so you don't even have to sweat. So I think it's great. If I lived anywhere near Austin, I were just a music fan, I would totally take advantage of the opportunity for $15 to spend the whole evening just hearing one great songwriter after another. If you love singer-songwriters and folk music and country music, can't beat it.
It's the place to go. It sure is.
You really can't beat it.
Just to give the listening audience a little heads up, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. By the way, this is held at the Holiday Inn on the corner of I-35 at Highway 290. So if you're interested in going to the SWARFA conference, just get on 290 and take it to 35, Interstate 35, and it's in the northwest corner of that intersection. And from 7 to 10 p.m. every night, all the at the large ballroom, it'll be the official showcases, and from 7 to 10, and from 10:30 to 2 a.m. the next morning, 3 floors, 7, 8, and 9 floors of the hotel are full of guerrilla showcases. And you can, like Carla just said, 20 minutes at this showcase, 20 minutes at the next, you get your fill. That's 7 solid hours of music for $15. And if you're looking to hire these artists for house concerts, that's what they're there for. They're there to show their goods, promote their new records, as Carla is here. And please, I strongly urge the Houston residents, if you're into music, if you're interested in hiring these acts, go to SWARFA. You'll have enough to hire your showcases for the rest of the year. And getting back to Carla, who is our guest, Carla Ulbrich is a guest on Songwriter Studio this afternoon. We're featuring songs off the brand new album, Twang, and we've got track number 3 queued up right now. And the title alone tears me up, 20 Rats. Let's talk a little bit about this, Carla. Give the listening audience a little heads up on this track.
Well, this one's a little more serious. This is basically telling the true story of a scientific study. They were trying to figure out, how people get addicted to things like morphine. And so they did a study on rats. And I don't want to tell the whole story of the song right before the song, but they had all the, how they keep the rats in cages and study them and stuff. And they had different bottles, a bottle with morphine laced water, and a bottle with just water. And they wanted to see what would make the rats choose the morphine or just have water. And so hopefully this would translate into something useful for humans, that we could understand why humans get addicted as well. So that was all. This is, if you look up Rat Park on Wikipedia, you can read about the whole study. Rat Park.
Let's listen to that track right now off the brand new album, Twang, Carla Ulbrich. The name of this track, 20 Rats.
In the basement of the science lab, studying addiction, the experiment was conclusive, matching our prediction. Each one had 2 bottles, one with water, one morphine. 20 rats in 20 cages, none of them stayed clean. Many times, in many places, the trial was replicated. Drugs as powerful as this should have never been created. We've got to keep them off the streets by every possible means. 20 rats in 20 cages, none of them stay clean. I tried to warn these rats about how this would go. I told them, use willpower. Just say no. I told them about their strung out friends and relatives I'd seen. But those 20 rats in 20 cages, none of them stayed clean. Then Dr. Alexander came onto the scene. He said,
I'm looking at these rats. They're disengaged. These are social creatures trapped in isolation. The problem's not the morphine. The problem is the cage. He sprung them from confinement, gave them toys and space, lots of room to exercise, and even room to mate. They still had 2 bottles, one with water, one morphine. Those 20 rats, free from their cages, all of them stayed clean.
20 Rats, brand new music, Carla Ulbrich. I guess that is a little bit more serious, from a little breakaway from your typical lyrics. Go ahead.
Yeah, every now and then I get serious. Every now and then.
Carla, you've played the Kerrville Folk Festival, which I attend annually, and also played at the Bluebird Cafe there in Nashville. Tell us about when you played at the Kerrville, and what year was that, and do you plan on returning in the future?
I played at the Kerrville Folk Festival, I believe it was 2005, in the Threadgill Theater, and I think it was opening for the Malvinas. I'm not sure. It's been a while.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the Kerrville Festival a while, the Threadgill Theater has been completely redone. It's a covered outdoor amphitheater now. It's just stellar. The sound quality and the seating arrangement, everything has just been 100% improved. And every year they do new work for it. I'd much rather watch the shows at the Threadgill Theater than at Main Stage. So let's hope you get back in there. Submit some songs. Come on back down.
Yeah. Next time I won't come with a broken foot.
Oh, is that what happened the first time around?
In 2005, I had booked 5 or 6 festivals that summer, and I broke my foot, and I had to walk around in one of those Darth Vader looking boots, try to walk around a muddy, gravelly landscape on all 5 or 6 festivals. Timing is everything.
Yeah, I probably saw you there that year, but I just don't remember. It's been so long ago.
It looks especially great, that Darth Vader boot with a dress, I must say. Quite the spectacle.
We're featuring songs off the brand new Carla Ulbrich album, Twang. We've got the next track booted up and ready to go. Stop Trying to Bring on the Apocalypse. Talk a little bit about this track.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are people who are trying to speed up Jesus coming back. And they're like, if we just burn down the planet, he'll have to come back. It kind of reminds me of, if you're leaving the kids at home unattended and they're like just getting into all kind of trouble because their parents aren't giving them enough attention. I don't know. So, yeah, you come back and the house is on fire and clearly we just can't be trusted to our own devices, I guess is what's happening. But, there's a lot of preppers and even some high level people who are politicians and stuff who are like, let's hurry it up. We can't wait for God to come back at his own time. Let's just speed it up by making the planet as uninhabitable as possible. And I'm like, well, what if he doesn't come back for 100 or 1,000 years? Then we have to live in this cesspool that we created by trying to make him hurry up. So yeah, that's what that's about.
Well, you keep turning on the news and the fires are just burning up the planet right now. I hope it's not too late. I know some recent legislation was signed that hopefully will start to reverse the problem that we're in that you just discussed. So let's listen to that track right now off the brand new album, Twang, Carla Ulbrich, Stop Trying to Bring on the Apocalypse.
You could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse. That'd be really swell. I'm not just asking for the heathens. I'm not worried about going to hell. You're not the first person to read Revelations. Even Satan knows the Bible well. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really swell. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really fab. You may be looking for a holy war, but the people in charge just want a power grab, tearing up the planet like there's no tomorrow, and the rest of us are picking up the tab. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really fab. Is this like when you were 5 years old, waiting to see Santa's face? Except instead of leaving out cookies and milk, you left a big pile of nuclear waste. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really great. Hiding in your Jesus is running late. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really great. Armageddon? I'm not so sure he would. You can be so heavenly minded that you're no damn earthly good. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really nice. You think you're ready to meet your maker? Well, you may just want to think twice. If you haven't yet learned to love thy neighbor, better put those plans on ice. If you could stop trying to bring on the apocalypse, that'd be really nice. That'd be really fantastic.
Stop trying to bring on the apocalypse. Brand new music, Carla Ulbrich. Who's playing the guitar on this track, Carla?
That's Eric Halbig. I mean, I'm doing the strumming, of course, just the acoustic guitar. But yeah, the electric guitar, that's all Eric Halbig.
Yeah, he was tearing it up in this track, as was Rob Ickes, as I mentioned numerous times through this interview. One of my favorite dobro players of all time, for sure. I pulled up that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Just saying, it's another great track for showing off the band.
It sure is. It sure is. I pulled up the information on the SWARFA conference, which you will be a part of. That is going to be September 21st through the 25th, and it's at the Holiday Inn Midtown. The address, 6000 Middle Fiskville, Austin, Texas. I have the phone number if you want to call and make your reservations or just come out to the shows. It's 512-206-3015. Again, that is the Holiday Inn Midtown in Austin, where the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance will be held. While we're on the phone numbers, if you like what we do here on Songwriter Studio at KPFT, we've been on the air for 52 years at KPFT. We are part of the Pacifica network of stations. Songwriter Studio has been on this station for 15 years now. Please call and support this radio station, 713-526-5738. And please make a donation to Songwriter Studio. Keep us on the air for another 15 years. Back to our guest, Carla Ulbrich. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And we've got some more time. We're going to play some more tracks off the brand new album, Twang. Why don't you give these folks your contact information one more time? It's Carla U. Go ahead.
CarlaU.com. CarlaU.com. That's the easiest way to find me.
You can order copies of the brand new album. Is it available on downloads and hard copy?
Yes.
And if you want a hard copy that's autographed, just show up at the conference and get you an autographed copy, right?
Right.
Carla, I can't say enough. I've seen your live show numerous times. You're a hoot. You keep the audience entertained and laughing nonstop. So if you want to see a very funny, very creative, very clever show, come see Carla at the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance. And the dates again for that are September 21st through 25th. I believe the hotel dates will actually be the 22nd through the 25th next month, September. So let's move on. Next track, booted up, ready to go on the brand new album, Twang. Let's listen to She's an Extra. And I think the title kind of spells it out, but why don't you let the listening audience know a little bit about this track?
Well, this is about my time as a movie and TV background actor, also known as an extra. And, you know, when you do that kind of work, you're the, what I call human wallpaper, where you just back there in the scenery and you can't make any noise. Like, you even have to literally put soft things on the bottom of your shoes so that you don't make any noise if you have to walk around. And you can't talk, you can't sneeze or anything like that. You have to be completely quiet, but you have to look like you're talking. So we usually sit there and just mouth our words like we're saying peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots, just to have something. So it looks like, instead of just, moving your lips around and not making any words, you just sit there and go peas and carrots, peas and carrots. But you can't even whisper. You have to do it like silently. So peas and carrots, peas and carrots. And the other thing that's interesting, well, there are a lot of interesting things about being a background actor, but usually you're filming about 6 months off from when it's going to air. So if it's going to air in December, they're filming it in July. So you have to dress up in your wool coat and scarf and hat and get all bundled up in July, be standing out in the 90-degree heat, pretending you're shivering and pretending that you're cold when you're really about to pass out from the heat. So that's another interesting thing about background acting. And then, a lot of the day is just spent in what they call holding, where you're not on the set and you're just in this big room full of tables and chairs, sometimes just chairs. And most people are spending the whole day in holding, picking out what, trying to get some more roles for the rest of the week. They're applying for more roles. So you're spending most of your day as a background actor applying for jobs as a background actor.
Interesting. I've heard about this before. So let's go ahead and listen to this track. She's an extra off the brand new Carla Ulbrich album, Twang. Right up.
She packs 3 changes of clothes, commutes into the city for reasons she can't disclose. She wears a woolen winter coat out in the summer heat, and for the 15th time waits for the cue to casually cross the street. She's an extra. She moves her lips but makes no sound, not even to cough. I think she's saying peas and carrots. Peas and carrots? My lip reading could be off. Sipping air from a coffee cup, she waits for the all clear, then takes the arm of her man, her 3rd husband just this year. She's an extra. And behind the scenes, she's picking out her next identity. Biker? No. Detective? No. Hipster? No. Model? No. Ordinary, everyday pedestrian. That's me. She's an extra. At last, a part in a movie. She told her job, drop dead. You might see her on the big screen. Just look for the back of her head. She's an extra.
She's an extra. Brand new music, Carla Ulbrich. Great track. If you want a copy of this new album, go to Carla U. And not only this album, the brand new album Twang, but all your catalog, I assume, is still available to the public. Is that right?
Almost everything. I have a couple things that are out of print, but almost everything. So I still have digital downloads available of those older things that I ran out of. But yeah. I got to say, that song really confused the Italian reviewer.
He just didn't get it, did he?
Well, he didn't have me explaining to him that it was about being a background actor. So, and obviously, if I were listening to something in Italian and didn't have the backstory, I would have been at least as confused.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, Carla Ulbrich's been our guest on Songwriter Studio. And we are featuring tracks off the brand new album, Twang. Before we get back and play a couple more tracks, we're almost out of time. We can probably get a couple more during the show. I want to talk about the Johnson Studio House Concert Series down in Galveston. Pam and Jim have been friends of this show and friends of KPFT for many years with their longtime shows up in the Huntsville area. They've moved their concert series to Galveston, Texas. They've got some great shows coming up. September 30th, Sharita Perez will be performing their house concert series. Our good friend George Inslee will be performing there on October 15th. And that brand new announcement, they will be having shows at the Galveston UU Church And this will start with Dana Cooper on November 12th. So if you're interested in any of these shows, just Google Johnson Studio House Concerts, and all the contact information for Jim and Pam will pop up. Just click on it and make your reservations. Again, the Johnson Studio House Concert Series. Back to our guest, Carla Ulbrich, who will be at SWARFA. I believe her dates are going to be September 22nd and 23rd, give or take. Check with her website, check her schedule. And let's get back to the album. We're going to try to squeeze about 2 more tracks off of this. Let's talk about the next one we've got queued up, The Recovery Waltz. Carla, take it away.
All right. Well, this one's about being in 12-step and trying to stay sober and not being very good at it.
Okay, well, let's listen to that track right now off the brand new album, Twang. This is Carla Ulbrich, The Recovery Waltz.
Step 1. Okay, I'm an addict. And my life is a mess. Oh, duh. This step is so flippin' obvious. I should finish all 12 in a month. Step 2, came to believe a power greater than me could restore sanity to my life. Sanity sounds kind of boring, but I guess I can give it a try. The recovery waltz. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Any beginner can learn it, even someone as stubborn as me. Step 3, turn my will and life over to God, or I guess I should say higher power. Then took it back when answers to prayers seemed to take longer than half an hour. I don't feel like searching, and I'm not all that fearless, so the next part I think I'll ignore. As long as I keep on waltzing, I'll never have to do step 4, the recovery waltz. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I've danced myself into a corner, stepping on my own feet. I accepted the things that I could not change, which gave me some peace, which felt kind of strange. But to look at my part in the mess that I made requires some honesty, hence the delay. The recovery waltz, avoiding reality, dancing around the problem, and the problem, of course, is me. Me doing the recovery waltz.
The Recovery Waltz off the brand new album, Twang. Carla Ulbrich, thank you so much for being our guest on Songwriter Studio. It's been a pleasure, and as usual, you are just too funny to be able to handle. So we
you
will
were
see
very
you.
kind. I appreciate you having me.
We will see you at the Southwest Regional Folk Alliance next month, and thanks again for being our guests. Contact information one more time for the listening audience.
www.carlau.com.
There you go. Please stick around. Up next, Irish Airs. If you like what you hear, call and make a pledge to KPFT 713 526-5738. Until next month, we'll see you. And please, if you find it interesting, get out to SWARFA, Southwest Regional Folk Alliance, pay your $15 and go see all the shows next month. That's September 22nd through the 25th. See you at SWARFA, Carla. Thanks again.
Yeah.